A great Scrum team is a team that is independent of others and can deliver a done increment every sprint. They don't really need anyone else outside of the team to complete their work. However, that is not usually the case for a lot of teams, especially in big organizations, because we have a lot of processes and workflows that might be interfering with our ideal Scrum process. And a lot of teams find themselves depending on other teams and other workflows. So how do you actually address it, and how can you, as a Scrum Master, product owner, or just team member, help your team advance towards their goals by properly managing and planning dependencies? Hey, it's Daria here. Welcome. In this video, I will be showing you a short clip from one of the mentorship calls I had. It is similar to what I did already previously in one of the calls where we talked about roadmaps. If you haven't seen that video, link is going to be in the description if you're on this side. And if you are interested in understanding actually how do you work with teams that are dependent on other teams, that is something that happens with a lot of the teams, right? And there is no way to really just kind of slap in the Scrum process on top of the problem and it's going to resolve itself. So how do we address the situations where the team cannot fully implement the work that they're doing without having to work with another team? So how do you address dependencies? In this video, I talk about what to do in sprint planning if dependencies are identified, what kind of questions you can ask as a Scrum Master to help your team kind of realize that there are dependencies and blockers. I also talk about cross-functionality on the team. Obviously, there is some dependencies between different expertise on the team. So developers are doing the coding, the development, while the testers, QAs are doing that testing part, and they're kind of dependent on each other on their success. So how do we create the cross-functional collaborative environment where both of the sides are working together towards the same goals? So these are the two key elements and key points that I will be addressing in this video. So let's jump in. If the teams have a lot of dependencies, most likely they will maybe want you to be a kind of a point of contact for helping resolve those dependencies, kind of making sure that the team is aware of the dependencies, that if we need something from another team, we plan for it. Can we let them know and we get that whatever we need from them at the time we need it? So I think that would be kind of managing the relationships with other teams and helping your team to plan properly for those dependencies. Let's make sure that we actually plan it out, that we estimate kind of the wait time and whatever that means. Well, generally, say we're in a sprint planning, and if I know that there's high dependency rate, or I hear that there is some dependency, I generally recommend the team to, first of all, think, will we be able to get this out of the way during the sprint and complete this item? Most of the time, no. 99% of the time, the team says, well, no, we need to actually resolve it before we can even start thinking about this work. In this case, what you take into the sprint is not the work item itself, but what you need to do to resolve. So it's kind of, we need to follow up with the team. Here's the date when, like the last date when we want them to deliver this item to us. It's more making sure the team actually kind of takes on the work that they realistically can complete. If they think they will not be able to resolve this dependency, like right away in the first couple of days, then it means that instead of taking the work that is right now blocked, we'll take this work once we unblock it. And usually it comes out. It's more kind of asking questions around it. Are we waiting on someone? Is there something that is blocking us? So usually the team kind of sees when they are planning for the sprint if there may be a dependency. They sometimes don't think about it. They say, well, this is blocked, but we're still going to take it. We're like, okay, we can take it, but we need to still talk about it. We can't just say, oh, it doesn't matter. I think it depends on the situation, what exactly is needed. Often it may be very technical, for example. And if it is, then it makes more sense for developers to kind of take it over, because otherwise you will be just a third person, in the middle trying to transfer that information. Whatever that is you want to kind of facilitate the communication. It may be that your team has been sending requests to this other team forever or for 2 weeks there, and they still didn't get a reply. Well, you can have maybe more weight if you talk to the right people. The team, you can keep doing your work. I'm going to try to take care of this impediment and figure it out on my own. I'm going to go speak to the product owner. Maybe I'm going to go speak to the manager of this team. You're trying to find ways to get this resolved. And in these cases, kind of your team is not wasting time on these things. I'm just kind of predicting, trying to, based on the experience, think about what kind of challenges they're facing and where he would need your help. It's very possible that the team, the developers, work faster than the QAs. I think the developers only plan for the development. So they take on the work that they think they can complete, and they never actually think about the work that needs to complete. Just the development work, that's not good enough. We need both to actually be completed. It's very possible that the team has a lot of carryover. So they take on new work, like in every sprint planning, like, yeah, we can totally deliver 100 story points, right? They take it all, but then in the end, they are only able to deliver 60. And then they take and carry over. Then they carry over. It just never ends. And that can be very frustrating for the product owner because they cannot really plan ahead. And they most likely need to kind of manage these expectations with the stakeholders who have highest expectations, but the team is kind of not delivering to where they think, like the stakeholders and the product owner, they think what is possible. So I kind of predicting that there might be some kind of challenges in this area, and the product owner will want you to help resolve. Will depend on kind of how they are organized. And this is actually exactly what is happening right now with the teams I'm working with. The problem they had kind of 2 teams of developers and the 3rd team of QAs. So that might be also how they are structured. They have kind of developers working on their own and QAs working on their own. So as a Scrum Master, you would want to create cross-functional team, much more collaboration, so the developers and QAs work together. It means that when we are planning in the sprint planning, we have both developers and QAs, and we also discuss and estimate the efforts of the QAs, not just the dev. Because as simple as that, people just forget about it. The QA is not there. They're like, they already forgot that they're involved. We've been working for quite a few months now, kind of like cross-functional teams, and developers still have challenge thinking about the fact that there's QA and they have limited amount of time they can actually use. So that's kind of one of the things to making sure that that communication stream is open. Then another thing is actually working with the devs, more coaching them on that concept of cross-functionality. And the fact that it's not about your task and you having finished your task, it's about the team. Did the team deliver the item? You may have completed your coding, great. But if the team was not able to deliver anything because the QAs didn't understand your code or whatever, well, that's still on you because we are focusing on the team goals, not individual goals. And this is where the Scrum Master would need to do some coaching. And there's more kind of personal coaching, helping people just change how they perceive their work, how they perceive their team, and help them focus more on those team goals rather than individual goals. So that's kind of more of long-term personal development, kind of, I'd say, for the developers that the Scrum Master can help with. This is the problem. And the company needs to either hire or accept the fact they can only deliver half of what they want because you're limited on QA. And this is where you might also need to work as a Scrum Master and working potentially with your own stakeholders to set the right expectation. You may even need to kind of bring in some metrics to show here is the amount of work that we realistically can push through QA in one sprint. And this is what we should be using when we are creating our roadmap, not this other kind of higher number that is only maybe including dev work. Kind of hiring more QAs. Another thing that can be done is to see how do developers work with QAs. Do they collaborate? Maybe there is opportunity for the developers to help QAs. Yes, they will not be as effective. They will not be as efficient. I'm saying they will be slower. But in the end, by helping QAs, they will be able to deliver more. because they will be helping QAs, and it means that the actual completed work will increase. And so that can be another coaching opportunity, kind of challenging the devs and seeing how they can help QAs and kind of limiting them, saying, well, look, here's the amount of work we can realistically push through our workflow through QAs. This is everything we're going to take this sprint. Well, but I have nothing to do. Great. Well, you help your fellow QAs then if you have nothing to do. Instead of picking up new work and just kind of continuing with your own stuff, well, you need to help your fellow testers to actually get to the end of it, right? Let's summarize what was covered in that video in the short clip. So when we're talking about dependencies, if a team is facing dependencies and is planning for the sprint, if they have something that is out of their control, that is right now kind of sitting with another team, then there is no sense in taking that work into the sprint right now, because the team will feel powerless that they are unable to complete that work. So instead, we're trying to plan for it. So what you take is the action item in order to address that dependencies, whether it is contacting others, working with others, but generally addressing the dependency itself, but not doing the work that is dependent on something. So that is the best approach to take as a team when we are planning for the sprint. And then when we're talking about developers, QAs, and maybe any other expertise, any specialists working together, it is important to remind everyone that it is really about the team achieving the team goals. It's not about each person completing their own task. Yes, you might have completed your task of, say, development, but if the QAs didn't have enough time to test it, and so at the end of the sprint, there's nothing to show to the stakeholders, it's still on you, right? So this is the kind of collaboration and cross-functional environment that we're trying to create in a team when we are working with Scrum teams. If you're watching this before September 2023, then I'd like to let you know that I will be participating in ScrumDay in Madison, Wisconsin on September 14th this year. So as a Scrum Master team, we will have an exhibitor booth and you can come by and say hi. I will be bringing in some goodies there. We'll have a giveaway and some freebies as well. So if you're interested just to come say hi to Scrum Master team and to me personally, or you want to chat, you have any questions, and if you haven't bought your ticket yet, then you can obviously grab it in the scrumday.org website, and I would love to meet you. So come on over, say hi, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions while we're... Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Cheers and Scrum on.